Forget the Hollywood fantasies. In a real grid-down scenario, you aren't fighting zombies. You are fighting cholera, infection, and the cold. I'm not talking about expensive tactical gear. I'm talking about the junk sitting in your kitchen drawer right now that becomes more valuable than gold when the trucks stop running. History proves this. During the 1,425-day siege of Sarajevo, a simple Bic lighter traded for more food than a diamond ring. Today, I'm breaking down 11 everyday items that transform into life-saving assets when society crumbles. From a $2 bottle of chemical cleaner that prevents dysentery, the #1 killer of the American Civil War, not bullets, to a common bathroom staple that combat medics in Vietnam used to plug bullet holes. Stop buying gadgets. Let's look at the real survival currency hidden in your home. 1. Cigarettes. #1 on the list isn't something for your lungs, it's for your wallet. I'm talking about cigarettes. Even if you despise smoking, in a survival situation, these are liquid gold. When the banking system freezes and the US dollar collapses into worthless green paper, the economy reverts to barter immediately. History is the only teacher here. During the economic ruin of post-World War II Germany, the cigarette replaced the Reichsmark as the standard unit of currency. Why? Because addiction is a biological mandate. In a high-stress collapse, a desperate person will trade their last can of Spam or a box of 9mm ammo just to take the edge off. By stocking cartons, you aren't buying a habit. You are stocking up on pure negotiation power to bribe your way through checkpoints or secure labor. But there is a hidden tactical use for tobacco that almost nobody talks about. In a long-term grid-down scenario, you'll likely be relying on a survival garden for food. When pests start destroying your calories, you won't be able to run to Home Depot for chemicals. Here's the secret. Nicotine is a potent, natural neurotoxin. Soaking a handful of tobacco in water creates an organic pesticide spray that kills aphids and spider mites on contact, saving the crops that keep your family alive. Furthermore, that same nicotine tea can be applied topically to kill skin parasites like ticks and leeches. Buy the cheapest, strongest cartons you can find and vacuum seal them. In the new world, you aren't a smoker. You're the bank. 2. Vodka. Leave the Napa Valley wines and aged bourbons for the looting mobs. They spoil or run out. You want the bottom-shelf clear liquor that tastes like jet fuel. In a world without antibiotics or law, high-proof alcohol isn't a vice. It is a chemical necessity. First, understand the medical reality. When the pharmacies are looted dry in the first 72 hours, this bottle becomes your primary healthcare plan. It is the only general anesthetic you will have access to. If you have to stitch a deep laceration or pull an infected tooth, a death sentence in survival scenarios, getting the patient drunk is the only way to manage the shock. It serves as a rudimentary sterilization agent for instruments when boiling water isn't an option. But here is the chemistry secret that few preppers know. High-proof vodka is the universal solvent for making medicinal tinctures. If you are scavenging herbs like willow bark, nature's aspirin, or echinacea, you cannot just eat them raw and expect miracles. Soaking them in vodka for weeks extracts the active medicinal compounds that water cannot, creating concentrated antibiotics and pain relievers that last indefinitely. Furthermore, unlike beer or wine, which turn into vinegar, hard liquor has an infinite shelf life. It never goes bad. It won't freeze in your unheated garage during a blackout winter. It is fuel for alcohol stoves, a disinfectant for hygiene, and a high-value trade item. Stock the cheap stuff, and stock it deep. 3. Petroleum jelly, Vaseline. Most Americans see this as a cheap moisturizer for chapped lips or diaper rash. You need to look closer at the label. It is 100% petroleum. You are essentially holding a jar of shelf-stable, solidified fuel. In a survival situation, this is not a beauty product. It is napalm in a jar. Here is the tactical reality. Getting a fire started in a damp, freezing urban environment is nearly impossible with just a lighter and some wet cardboard. But if you take a single cotton ball and work a glob of Vaseline into it, you have created a miniature fuel cell that burns violently for 10 minutes. It resists wind, it resists rain, and it burns hot enough to dry out damp wood. This simple chemical reaction is the difference between hypothermia and a hot meal. But its value goes beyond fire. In a grid-down scenario, your SUV is useless. You are walking everywhere. The average modern American has soft feet and will develop debilitating blisters within 5 miles of hiking with a heavy pack. An infected blister in a world without antibiotics can turn septic and kill you. Coating your feet in petroleum jelly eliminates friction. It is the cheapest insurance policy for your mobility. Furthermore, it creates an occlusive seal over minor cuts, acting as an artificial scab that keeps airborne bacteria out of your bloodstream when you are wading through the filth of a collapsed city. 4. Tampons. Number 4 is the tampon. Gentlemen, check your ego at the door. If you are skipping this aisle because you think it's for women, you are making a fatal tactical error. In a city collapsing into violence, you aren't shopping for hygiene products. You are scavenging for sterile, vacuum-sealed trauma plugs. Here is the brutal reality of urban survival. You are far more likely to die from blood loss after a looting accident or a stray bullet than from hunger. Standard Band-Aids are useless against a puncture wound. You need to plug the leak immediately. This is not internet myth. It is battlefield history. During the Vietnam War, many American combat medics, and even regular grunts, carried personal stashes of tampons in their rucksacks. Why? Because medical gauze is scarce, but tampons are everywhere. The design engineering is what makes them a medical miracle for under $5. They are compressed cotton stored in a waterproof, sterile applicator. When you insert a tampon into a deep gunshot wound or a rebar puncture, it doesn't just absorb blood, it violently expands inside the wound track. This expansion creates immediate internal pressure against the torn arteries, buying you the critical minutes needed to seek help or apply a tourniquet. Furthermore, the cotton inside is excellent flash tinder. If you tear one open, the dry fibers will catch a spark from your ferro rod instantly, even in high humidity. Do not leave the store without them. 5. Wool socks. Number 5 is wool socks. In modern America, we have forgotten how to walk. We rely on Uber, subways, and SUVs. But when the grid fails and the gas pumps run dry, your feet become your only vehicle. If your feet fail, you die. And here is the golden rule of outdoor survival that every Eagle Scout knows. Cotton kills. Do not wear gym socks. Cotton absorbs moisture and loses all insulating ability when wet, turning your feet into blocks of ice. History painted this lesson in blood during World War I. In the freezing mud of Europe, over 75,000 American soldiers were taken off the front lines due to trench foot, a horrific condition where the flesh rots off the bone due to cold and wetness. It caused more operational casualties than some enemy offensives. Noose is different. It is an engineering marvel of nature. Unlike cotton, wool fibers have a crimped structure that traps air even when soaked. But here is the science that will blow your mind. Wool is technically exothermic. When dry wool absorbs moisture, a chemical reaction occurs within the fibers that actually generates distinct, measurable heat. It doesn't just hold your body heat in, it actively warms you up as it gets wet. In a post-collapse winter where heating systems are dead, a pair of thick merino wool socks is the difference between keeping your toes and gangrene. Throw out the cotton. Stock the wool. 6. Zip ties. Number 6 is zip ties. In a high-stress adrenaline dump, like when someone is kicking in your front door, your fine motor skills vanish. Your hands turn into useless claws. You cannot tie a complex Boy Scout knot to secure a gate or fix a shelter. You need speed. You need the zip. Originally invented in 1958 to bundle wire harnesses inside airplanes, these nylon straps are pound for pound the strongest fastener on Earth. A standard heavy-duty zip tie has a tensile strength of 175 pounds. Link two together, and you have a bond that requires bolt cutters to break. In a looting scenario, speed is security. You can secure every perimeter fence, gate, and cabinet in your home in under 2 minutes. But here is the winter survival hack that changes everything. When the roads freeze over and your vehicle or bike is sliding into a ditch, you don't need expensive chains. Looping heavy-duty zip ties around your tires creates instant snow traction gears that bite into black ice, allowing you to escape the kill zone when others are stuck. Furthermore, they are the ultimate tool for containment. In a lawless environment, you may have to detain an intruder until the chaos settles. Law enforcement uses flex cuffs for a reason. 2 heavy zip ties linked together form improvisational handcuffs that are virtually impossible to slip out of. They are lightweight, rot-proof, and can repair a blown-out backpack strap or stitch a broken car bumper instantly. Buy the black ones. They are UV resistant. The white ones become brittle in the sun. 7. Paper maps. Number 7 is paper maps. We are a nation addicted to the blue dot. But ask yourself, what happens when the satellites drift, a solar flare hits, or the military encrypts the GPS signal for tactical use only? You become blind in your own city. In a survival scenario, Google Maps is a ghost. You need the physical, immutable authority of a local atlas. Here is the terrifying reality. The GPS system is not guaranteed. During a national emergency, selective availability can be reactivated, intentionally degrading public GPS accuracy to make it useless for navigation. Without a physical map, you don't know which roads are choke points and which lead to freedom. But the true value of a topographical paper map isn't just directions. It is resource hunting. While your phone screen just showed you traffic, a topographical map reveals the secrets of the land. Those squiggly brown lines, they aren't just art. They are contour lines that tell you exactly where natural springs emerge from the ground. Gravity doesn't lie. Water always flows to the notches in the contour lines. That paper map is literally a treasure map to fresh water sources that 99% of the population will overlook. Furthermore, paper maps reveal the ghost roads, abandoned rail lines, and high-voltage power line cuts. When the interstates turn into 80-mile-long parking lots of desperate refugees and bandits, these forgotten corridors are the only clear, flat paths out of the city that keep you hidden from the chaos of the main roads. Mark them up with a pencil. Your escape route shouldn't depend on a battery percentage. 8. Contractor trash bags. Number 8 is contractor trash bags. I'm not talking about the flimsy white kitchen liners that tear when you look at them. I mean the heavy-duty 3 mil thick contractor bags found at hardware stores. In the survival community, we call this the super shelter. Why spend $200 on a bivy sack when a 50-cent bag can save you from the #1 outdoor killer, hypothermia? Here is the cold, hard math. You can survive 3 weeks without food, but you will die in 3 hours without shelter in extreme weather. If you are caught in a freezing rainstorm, cutting a hole for your face in this bag creates an instant, waterproof vapor barrier shell. It traps 100% of your body heat immediately. It isn't comfortable, but it stops you from dying. But the physics of black plastic goes beyond warmth. Because the dark color absorbs heat, these bags are the primary component for building a transpiration solar still. By wrapping this bag around a leafy tree branch in the sunlight, the greenhouse effect extracts water from the leaves, condensing it into drinkable liquid at the bottom of the bag. You can literally harvest water from thin air while you sleep. Finally, in a long-term grid-down scenario, sanitation becomes a nightmare. When the sewage stops, disease spreads. These bags are the only barrier strong enough to safely contain human waste, or, in the worst-case scenarios I pray you never face, seal off a corpse to prevent the spread of plague within your home. Stock a roll. It is the cheapest multi-tool you will ever own. 9. Plain salt. Number 9 is plain salt. You likely have a cupboard full of it, but you don't respect it. That 50-cent cylinder of white crystals? That used to be money. The word salary literally comes from the Latin salarium, the allowance given to Roman soldiers to buy salt. Why? Because without it, an army dies. Here is the grid-down reality. When the power fails, your $3,000 smart refrigerator is nothing more than a heavy metal coffin for rotting food. You are instantly transported back to the 18th century. Salt is the only technology that allows you to store a deer harvest through the starving months of winter. It acts as a chemical time machine, freezing decomposition in its tracks so you can eat protein in February that you killed in October. Without salt, a 150-pound deer is just 24 hours of food and 100 pounds of waste. But the biological need is even more urgent. In a survival scenario, you will be exerting yourself, sweating out vital minerals. Drinking pure water without replacing sodium leads to hyponatremia, a condition where your brain swells, leading to seizures. And let's look at American history. In 1864, the Confederacy didn't just collapse because of bullets. They collapsed because the Union blockade cut off the salt supply. Without salt, they couldn't cure leather for boots or preserve meat for rations, leading to mass starvation and gangrene. It cures hides, it sanitizes wounds, and it keeps your heart beating. Stock 50 pounds minimum. It never expires. 10. Disposable lighters. Number 10 is the humble disposable lighter. Stop watching survival reality shows where people rub sticks together. In a real survival situation, you are likely wet, shivering, and facing a calorie deficit. Wasting precious energy trying to start a friction fire is not bushcraft. It is suicide. You need immediate thermodynamics on demand. Let's talk engineering. A standard Bic lighter is a miracle of modern manufacturing. It contains pressurized butane and a spark wheel made of ferrocerium, the same material in those $20 survival rods, but packaged for one-handed operation. While matches get wet and become useless mush, a plastic lighter can be submerged in water, shaken dry, and struck to produce a flame in seconds. But here is the detail that separates the pros from the amateurs. Do not rely on Zippos. I love the smell of lighter fluid too, but Zippos have a fatal flaw: fuel evaporation. Even if you never use it, a Zippo will dry out completely in about 2 weeks. It leaks its fuel into the air. A disposable lighter? It is a sealed pressure vessel that holds its fuel for decades. The math is undeniable. One standard lighter provides approximately 3,000 individual flames. That is one fire every single day for nearly 10 years, for the price of a candy bar. Fire cooks your food, boils your water, and signals for rescue. To not carry 3 of these in your pocket is to voluntarily choose the Stone Age over the Space Age. 11. Unscented bleach. Number 11 is the undisputed king of the list: unscented bleach. You can have all the guns, gold, and gear in the world, But if you drink from a contaminated stream, you are dead in days. In survival, the enemy isn't a sniper. It is microscopic. During the American Civil War, dysentery and typhoid killed more soldiers than enemy bullets combined. When the municipal water treatment plants lose power, the tap water in your home becomes a biological weapon. Forget boiling water that wastes precious fuel. Forget fancy ceramic filters they clog or break. A simple $2 bottle of plain 6% sodium hypochlorite bleach is the most efficient water treatment facility on Earth. Here is the math that saves lives. 8 drops of bleach purifies 1 gallon of water. Let that sink in. A single standard gallon of bleach has the potential to treat 3,800 gallons of drinking water. That is enough safe water to keep a family of 4 alive for over 5 years. But there is a critical warning. You must buy the unscented and regular variety. Do not buy splashless or fresh scent formulas. They contain toxic thickeners and perfumes that will poison you. Also, bleach has a shelf life. It degrades into salt water after about 6 months, so you must rotate your stock. Go check your laundry room right now. If that bottle is old or scented, you aren't prepared. You are vulnerable. For the price of a coffee, you can secure the most vital resource for human existence. We often forget that society relies on a fragile system with only 3 days of inventory in stores. As the saying goes, we are just 9 meals away from anarchy. When the trucks stop, civilization vanishes in exactly 72 hours. The biggest mistake? Buying tactical gear to look dangerous. In a real collapse, looking like a soldier makes you a primary target. You want to be the gray man, invisible but prepared. A box of heavy-duty trash bags and a bottle of bleach won't attract looters, but they will keep you alive while the guy with the $3,000 rifle dies of dysentery. Don't let this be just entertainment. Knowledge without action is useless. Go to your pantry right now. Check your bleach expiration. Throw wool socks in your trunk. These pennies today are the only thing standing between your family and tragedy tomorrow. Subscribe if you want real-world survival tactics, not Hollywood myths. And tell me in the comments, what is the one useless item you trust with your life? Let's get prepared. Stay safe.